Hello and welcome to the AI in Education podcast. Now, recently we were at the Flourish Conference and we got the chance to talk to a number of school staff about projects that they were doing with AI. What we've decided to do is bring 3 of them together into one single episode of the podcast and really give you a chance to hear about what schools are doing. The thing I found really interesting was in each of them, we talked about having the human in the loop. How do you protect human agency when you are doing AI projects? And how do you blend AI with humans working together? So 3 interesting and contrasting stories for you to be able to listen to, and hopefully you'll get some insights.
This is Alison Perosin from OLPS, Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, in Broken Bay Diocese, which is fantastic. And I met Alison for coffee about 2 months ago, something like that. And we were talking all things AI because I'd seen the amazing things she was doing. And we were talking about everything from the C chat stuff to whatever tools and Minecraft and all the goodies in between. So it's great that we've got her on the podcast today because she's doing amazing stuff.
I heard you, Alison, talking at the Flourish Conference. And I am going to admit, I sat at the back of the room listening to what you're talking about thinking, holy moly, you've done something I've not heard other people do, which is you handed the keys to the car over to the kids.
Indeed.
I mean, that's totally the non-educational way of putting it. But you've handed over agency and control to the students. So I want to know more.
Well, it was a brave move, but we're all learning on this journey together. So, yeah, the CE chat platform that we use has got obviously the ocean pool, which keeps the swimmers safe, the AI learners, and then it's the kids pool, the little shin-high pool at the end of the ocean pool, and that's where the kids can play. And so I knew they were going to be safe. And I thought, okay, let's get agency with our learners here. Let's get them thinking metacognitively about how they best learn, about where is a gap in their learning and what keeps them on task and what types of questions they like. So we did a whole sort of backfill using an agent called Learning Lens where they were able to think about the answers to those questions. And then once they had that in place and a particular student who wants to be a pilot, he decided he wants to learn more about forces and gravity. And he said, I really like words of affirmation, so I'm going to design an agent that tells me, well done, you're going great guns, keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to step you back there. So first message you're saying is you've got a controlled environment rather than throwing them into the ocean that's got the sharks in it, public AI.
Yeah.
You've got a controlled environment they're using. And then the second thing I think what you're saying is the students are building a learning experience for themselves rather than just going into ChatGPT or whatever that is and saying, teach me about forces.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so how does that
So good.
building bit work?
Well, so using the prompt, and we use the Risen prompt, role, instruction, step, end goal, and narrowing, we worked through over a series of lessons around designing their agents. So Dylan came up with the idea that he actually said to his agent, before you start, find out what level I'm at. And he knew he was designing it for other kids who were
And Dylan, age and background?
Dylan he is year 6 and actually has been floating along and using all this sandbox. I've really seen another level of his intelligence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've known Dylan since he was in kindergarten. So he is on fire in the sandbox. So he then said, I need you to find out my level first so it's from a novice through to an expert. And he pre-filled that so that then the interaction with the agent would be catering for the user's needs. And this is a year 6 student.
And I saw that because
That's very exciting.
As I was looking on screen at the instructions that Dylan had written for the AI agent to follow, it had that check what my level is. And then it had so if I say my level is this, start with an explanation. If I say my level is this, start by testing out my knowledge. And it's almost like he had built it not for himself, but for anybody that wanted to learn that particular area. like his classmates as well.
Correct, because it is actually part of our stage 3 science outcome, forces and gravity, and the whole class used it after because it was such a great agent. And so every student in that interaction was able to have their learning needs coach. And he knows himself as a learner, as did the other kids who wrote agents. So he said, after 5 questions, I might lose focus. So pop in a joke to keep me engaged.
The other thing I think is really important here is I think I'm seeing increasing evidence that students are happy to use their own AI for their schoolwork and are a bit suspicious of the AI that's given to them by the schools because, if I use it to help me a bit too much, are they going to judge me? So I'll go and use ChatGPT.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But what you're talking about here is you've given a capability to students that they can't get in those other tools. So you're drawing them in with more value from AI.
Absolutely. And they're not cognitively offloading. They're actually doing a lot more thinking as a learner about where their gaps are and about how they best learn. So just taking that thinking and then imagine by the time these kids get to high school and they go, yeah, that's right, I remember. I need to have a little breather halfway through because I lose focus. I can't begin to imagine what these kids will go on to do in high school as creating a study buddy.
So we've got the amazing Hamish Jefferies. I've been a long-time fan of yours, Hamish, over the last several years from John Therry Catholic College in Rosemeadow, just down the road from where we are today. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Welcome to the podcast. And you've been doing a bit on data as well recently, haven't you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so kind of accidental goal in a way was, I think, a little bit of a frustration that some of our data was hidden, was hard to find. And then I was thinking about as a teacher as well, the busyness of our lives to try and spend time with that data to go through, find out a lot about your class, where they sit academically, especially GPA from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type thing. And then asking teachers then differentiate for 30 kids and they've got 6 or 7 classes a day. Like, how do you have time to do that? So I thought, do it effectively. So I thought, well, you know what? We have AI and AI has been like, I have these crazy ideas where I go, you know what? We could probably do AI with this, surely. So I grabbed all that data together, spreadsheets, GPA, whatever I get my hands on. So that's our school data. And then we got NAPLAN and all the rest of it that we put into there as well. And I've built it I was trying to build it in a gem first because we use Gemini at our school with that enterprise protection. Very big on our student data and data as a whole being protected. So I thought I'll start there. And the gem was kind of working, but it had a limit to the knowledge base, 10 documents. And I was going to exceed that because I've got my master timetable plus every year group's GPA, PAT testing, NAPLAN, and I wanted it all in one place from 7 through to 12.
Yeah.
10 documents doesn't get you very far if you think about it, break it down year by year. So, and then this year, I started dabbling with AppScript, which is not something a teacher would ever find themselves doing, but I know nothing of coding and that's where it started. And I thought, you know what, Gemini could probably do this for me. And so Gemini has produced a beautiful index page and then has done all the work in the background and linking all these different spreadsheets together so that a teacher can request a class code. So like say 9 English 1 or a student individually. And then basically the AppScript will basically go through all the spreadsheets, get all that information, send it off to Gemini, and then it will compile basically a breakdown of the students in sort of top, middle, and bottom with that data next to them so you can see exactly where they're sitting. And then you can then prompt it for some differentiation ideas. So if you're doing a Shakespeare lesson with, say, your top class 8 English 1, it might give you some ways you can differentiate to extend those kids or ways you can scaffold it for some students that might be struggling. And I thought, you know what, I could probably just expand this and get this to the school, like providing that we keep our student data safe and try and lock it down so the teachers can't take that information and put it anywhere else in, say, chat or any of those other sorts of places. So the AppScript thing just became a better way to do it because it was a 7 through to 12 rather than I was going to have to try and split it. So 7, 8, 9 and 1 gem and then 10, 11, 12. And it gets a bit messy then. We try to tell teachers you go to this gem and then that gem. So the AppScript was just one way to pull everything together and everything in one place.
I'm trying to work out what the breakthroughs are in your approach. So I think there's a couple of things. One is all the data. Bring all the relevant data into one little structured set of data, which is time-consuming in its own right, because for many schools that will be, this spreadsheet, this spreadsheet, this spreadsheet. And then the second thing you're doing is presenting that in a way that allows me as a teacher to ask questions of the data or get recommendations from the data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was always the goal, was to try and find ways that teachers interact with it, not just look at a table and go, well, here's my data. It's, well, I want to do this lesson. What do you think? And get some really good insights and feedback from Gemini that makes teachers go, you know what, that's actually a really good idea. Or being the human in the room going, you know what, that suggestion's actually far off base. I'm not going to bother with that. I think one of my biggest concerns is in education, and I think I see and hear about it a lot, is I'm concerned about the amount of staff or teachers that access things like ChatGPT and like students' information, whether it's a work sample or whatever else for feedback. So whatever I can do to try and provide tools or a place where staff can share whatever information they want and know that it's protected has been a really big focus of mine as well.
And that's amazing, because there are a lot of schools who aren't thinking about that yet, and they're getting caught or will get caught and trapped in those kind of things where they're leaking out PII. So it's a good point. Yeah.
You two are twins. Because you're both fixated around that thing of, hey, number one is we've got to keep the organization safe. We've got to keep the data safe. You don't just want to be using consumer tools. And you're absolutely right that becomes at the core of it, what you have to focus on, because that's the safe place to start and to build out.
And model it. I think gone are the days of, I think, in sort of teaching where you can't just, the old saying of do as I say, not as I do. Bit harder. I always find it hard with high school. So I think if I can model how to securely look after student staff data, then hopefully that sets a trend a little.
We've got another guest. We've got Renée Williams from the Cathedral College in Rockhampton, which is in Queensland.
Thanks very much. I am working in a Catholic coeducational secondary college. We're a boarding school up in Rockhampton, Queensland. And my role there is the assistant principal, staff development and formation. And a core part of my work is really working alongside teachers to help support them and strengthen their pedagogical practice, and also tailoring professional learning to be responsive to their needs.
So we're really keen to hear the story about how you're working with agents to support teachers in professional learning.
In my particular role, I saw a point of need with our staff, with varying levels of expertise, varying attitudes towards the use of AI in classrooms as well. And we had to do a little cultural work first before we launched into AI in the classroom, particularly around shifting some mindsets and I guess taking away the fear that AI brought, and that AI is not a dirty word. So we did that work for quite a while first before jumping straight into it. We started finding what we thought could be somewhere where we needed a bit more consistency and coherence across year levels, across subject areas. And we found that part of our lesson routines was probably the problem. And so the first 5 minutes of a lesson, we will work towards the finishes later, but we're starting with the starters, starting with one thing and trying to do that well. So lesson starters became the first part of the agent's focus and why it was built in the first place.
Right, okay. I love that, because when I think about my days in the classroom, that's what I'd use AI for the most, I think, would be give me an inspirational way to get this topic across to students.
Yeah.
Think of something different. Give me it's raining outside. Give me an example of how I could relate that to whatever. Yeah. So the agent you built was to support teachers to create those starter activities to connecting with the lessons? Or?
Yeah. The teachers are going into the agent and they've already got the contextual knowledge, like you just gave a good example of that, like specifically now it's raining, so let's put that into the lesson. They've got their content knowledge as well. If their numeracy goal is to help students to improve in decimals and fractions, but they're teaching a visual art unit on portraits, how is that possible?
Gotcha. Cross-subject as well. Wow,
yeah,
okay,
cross-subject
cool.
as well. So there's that feature of it that's helping to align the starter to their content and the context no matter what. And it can even go further then and have a smoother alignment with your learning intentions and success criteria. The teachers are coming in with, this is what I need to do. give me some suggested starters.
That's great. Are you getting feedback from the teachers about that then? Because I know lots of people stress about like learning intentions and success criteria and things. It's hectic to try to come up with those.
It is, and to write them in a clear, student-friendly way rather than full of jargon from the syllabus documents. So, yes, absolutely. And what's really exciting is that people who are using the agent and experimenting with the agent are then involved in discussions in our professional learning groups and sharing those strategies with other teachers. So it's creating a bit of a buzz and excitement amongst the staff.
Okay, I'm going to call myself Mr. Dunning-Kruger at this point because it sounds to me like it's a very simple thing, because I've seen teachers go into ChatGPT and go, all right, me a lesson starter. But I'm guessing it's a lot more complex than it sounds. And that you've learnt things along the way about how you make this something that really, really shines at every moment, as opposed to, it works for the demo, but don't try it in real life. What does it need to know in order to build that good advice for the teacher?
So behind it, we have feted all of our frameworks that we use at our school. So things like high impact teaching strategies, explicit instruction, the universal design for learning, the art and science of teaching, obviously the Australian curriculum for all subject areas. And I do have senior syllabus documents in there as well from the QCAA because we are in Queensland. They're our main documents. There are some other glossaries in there as well. Our teacher handbook.
Wow.
Really
That's
specific
quite
to our
comprehensive,
college.
yeah.
So as you were going through that, did you discover there were other things you needed to nudge it with? Like, it was great at understanding the curriculum, but my goodness, it just kept coming up with these silly ideas that don't fit in the Rockhampton context.
Yes, that's exactly right. We did collect starters and desserts or finishes and from teachers themselves that they love to use. They know they work, they're purpose-built, and we just put them into a Word document and sat that behind in the resources. So, they're favourite ones of the teachers, so they feel like they're contributing as well and their work's being used and shared by other teachers.
Are there any other tricks and tips that you could kind of share when you're talking about PD for staff in this area?
Yes, I would align the agent with planned meeting time. It can't exist on its own. It's not meant to be a standalone agent or replace a human coach or mentor. We also have staff who hesitate in their use of AI, so they don't want to use AI or they're not sure about it, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean they're excluded because they're still involved in those face-to-face meetings. So they're hearing about the experiences of other teachers who have used the agent and are able to still be involved in discussions and learn. Some of them who were a little bit resistant have taken it slowly and listened to the other examples and have now gone, okay, I'm ready to have a go myself, just easing into it. Yeah, so I think that's a really important part in all of this, is that the human interaction has to be at the forefront.
So it is really fascinating, again, that conversation is as much about how do we get the change in culture?
Yeah.
I think you've hit the nail on the head when you say it has to be that cultural work first, because you need that relational trust to implement anything. It doesn't matter whether it's technology or a new policy or anything like that. And that it is a partnership and not just another product adoption or sticking a Band-Aid on something, because people can see right through that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's wonderful.